I first heard the whispering when I was brushing my teeth and scrolling through memes on my phone like a normal, emotionally avoidant adult. At first, I assumed it was just the neighbor yelling at his Roomba again. He's got this thing where he thinks it's spying on him for the government, which honestly might be true. But no, the sound wasn't coming from the vents or the hallway. It was coming from my bedroom closet, which hadn't been opened since I crammed a bunch of unpaid parking tickets and 3 Halloween costumes into it 4 months ago. The whisper was deep, echoey, and kind of wet, like someone was gargling battery acid while reciting the terms and conditions of a cursed iTunes update. Now, most people might have called a priest or at least moved out. Me? I stood there in my Scooby-Doo boxers, electric toothbrush hanging out of my mouth like a limp cigar, and said out loud, "Nope, we're not doing this tonight, Cthulhu." Big mistake. Huge. The closet door flung open like it was auditioning for a low-budget Exorcist reboot. A swirling black void belched out fog that smelled suspiciously like Axe body spray and ancient despair. Then, out of the swirling gloom slithered something I could only describe as an unholy combination of calamari, oil slick, and a hot topic. Tentacles, eyes, shifting limbs that seemed to loop into themselves in defiance of Euclidean geometry, and a mouth that looked like it wanted to either give me unsolicited life advice or devour my soul. Possibly both. "Behold," it thundered, voice echoing directly into my spinal cord. "I am Ilganax, scourge of thought, lord of the whispering pit, devourer of sanity." "Can you do that a little quieter?" I asked, wincing, cutting him off. My neighbor upstairs is a light sleeper, and already hates me since the great microwave popcorn incident. There was a pause. One of its eyes blinked sideways. Another one rolled, a full 360. A tentacle scratched behind what may or may not have been an ear. "I apologize. I tend to project." "You tend to invade my bedroom, actually," I said, backing toward the bed slowly. Chairman Meow, my cat, watched this all with mild interest of a creature who once stared unblinking into his screensaver for 6 hours and only blinked because he sneezed. "I have observed you," Ilganax continued, voice lowering to the volume of a disgruntled audiobook narrator. "For months I have lurked in the shadows of your lonely existence. I know your hour of weakness. I know your search history." I winced again, but for different reasons. Okay, let's agree right now that no one needs to talk about the 2:14 a.m. Google search. He, or it, ignored me, gesturing one undulating appendage toward the open closet like a game show host revealing a showcase of nightmares. "I come to offer guidance. For you, Michael B. Henderson, of apartment 2B, are what the mortal realm calls undateable." My jaw dropped. "Excuse me?" "Do not be ashamed. The mark of the forever alone is not your fault. I, too, have faced rejection. Once in the year of the Screaming Comet, I was turned down by the Void Queen of the 17th Plane because I talked too much about my own limbs. It is a wound I carry with pride." Sorry, wait. Are you seriously here to give me dating advice from my closet? "Yes," he said proudly, "for I have studied your rituals. I have watched the sacred texts of love and war. The Bachelor, Love is Blind, 90-day fiancé. I possess wisdom beyond your pitiful Tinder swipes. I sat down on the edge of the bed, toothbrush still buzzing in my hand like a confused bee. You're telling me you're an ancient, unknowable entity from beyond time and space, and you've come here not to eat my soul or enslave humanity, but to be my wingman? He swelled proudly, dark matter pulsing with smugness. Wingman? Love guru? Matchmaker supreme? Yes, consider me your cosmic Tinder plus. And somewhere behind him, inside the closet void, something screamed. It sounded like a goat and a dial-up modem having a nervous breakdown. I don't know if I should be flattered or filing a restraining order with the Department of Eldritch Affairs. You need me, for you have failed your mortal mating rituals 17 times in a row. Hold up, that is a... Okay, technically true, but still rude. I have seen you fumble a date so hard, you apologize to a waitress for existing. I was nervous. You once asked a woman if she had any hobbies besides being hot, and then spilled miso soup on her dog. That dog should not have been in a sushi place. And yet here you are, alone, single, standing in the presence of a vast abyssal god with bad breath and even worse pickup lines. Fortunately, I am here to help you seduce. Please don't use the word seduce while oozing. Very well. Romance. Better? Marginally. He receded back into the closet slightly, leaving a trail of glistening ichor on my hardwood floor. Then rest, Michael of Henderson. Tomorrow we begin your training. You shall be a Lothario of the flesh realm. I really wish you'd call it literally anything else. We shall begin with opening lines, such as, "Hello, female. I possess a spine of sufficient length. Shall we merge our auras in mutual appreciation of terrible network television?" I threw a pillow at him. It passed through the void with a wet plorp. "Just think about it," he called, as the closet door slowly creaked shut, whispering horrors echoing off the walls like a demonic ASMR channel. I sat on my bed, staring into the spot where a minor god of madness had just tried to set me up on a date using what I could only assume was advice from a Tumblr account possessed by Satan. My cat blinked at me slowly, then climbed up onto my chest, curled into a loaf, and muttered in a perfectly clear voice, "This is only the beginning." I didn't even flinch. I just nodded and said, "Yeah, I figured." Now, there are many bad ideas in the history of humanity. Invading Russia in the winter, eating gas station sushi, naming your kid Brayden. But the moment I clipped a wireless mic to the inner lip of my jacket and popped a Bluetooth earpiece into my right ear so an interdimensional tentacle god could feed me dating lines in real time, that was the moment I punched my ticket into the Bad Idea Hall of Fame and then immediately lit it on fire with Eldritch napalm. And to be fair, it had been his idea. "You require direct intervention," Ilganax had bellowed, his voice somehow both gurgling and smug. "I shall be your voice, your ear, your romantic parasite." That last one's not a great pitch. Microphones are the sacred totems of this world. And with this, I shall feed you lines dipped in the ink of the stars themselves. What if she hears you? I shall speak in frequencies only you can perceive, he said, oozing confidence. I know the language of flirtation. I have watched every episode of Love Island, even the recaps. I had doubts. I had a stomachache. But I also hadn't been on a real date in almost a year, and was currently having my best conversations with a cat who might be a prophet. So I found myself walking into Cafe Trepidation, a place that somehow managed to be both hipster and haunted, wearing a blazer I bought in 2014, and earbuds that pulsed softly with the voices of the damned. Samantha was already there. Samantha, the barista, who'd once drawn a smiling skull in my latte foam and said, "You look like someone who needs caffeine and therapy." Samantha with sharp eyes, sharper wit, and exactly zero tolerance for BS. Samantha, who, for some reason, had agreed to meet me for a drink after I spent 10 minutes last week nervously comparing the concept of love to software updates. She waved when she saw me. "Hey, Michael." I panicked and whispered into the mic. "Okay, she said hi, what now?" Ilganax's voice slithered through my earpiece like a cold slug. "Greet her with power. Assert dominance with a compliment that hints at mystery." "What?" "Repeat after me. Hello. I have seen your shadow in my dreams, and it comforted me." "That sounds like a threat." "Trust the process." I sat down across from Samantha, swallowed my soul, and said, "Hey, I've seen your shadow in my dreams. It comforted me." Samantha blinked. "Okay, that's different. Is that like poetry or a red flag?" I chuckled nervously. "Little column A, little column B." Ilganax hissed, "Excellent recovery. Now offer a gift." "I don't have a gift." "Yes, you do. In your left pocket." I reached in and pulled out what felt like a tiny vibrating pouch. "It's a rock," I said out loud, staring in horror at the pulsating green pebble in my palm. How did you get this in my pocket?" "Is that glowing?" "Only in certain light," I said way too quickly. It just blinked. It's shy." Samantha snorted. "Thank the gods." "You're weird." "Oh, you have no idea?" Ilganax coiled in my ear. "Now ask her about her essence." "You mean hobbies?" "Yes, but make it sound like a blood bond." "So, what do you do for fun?" I asked, ignoring the blood bond part. "Other than being handed radioactive rocks by strangers, I'm into horror podcasts, photography, and feeding the raccoons behind my building." "Tell her you too feed the night creatures." "Me too. I feed night creatures, mostly, metaphorical ones." "Are you okay?" "Never," I said honestly. There was a moment of silence, and just as I thought I might be salvaging this disaster with humor and honesty, Ilganax decided it was time to crank the nightmare dial. "Now, engage in the ancient ritual of flirtation, the compliment." "Okay, keep it simple, don't get weird, just a compliment," I whispered. "Tell her her face is a symmetrical altar of flesh, and your heart beats the ritual drum." I refused. I smiled at Sam and tried something simple. "You have a great laugh." It makes the rest of the room kind of disappear. Sam looked pleasantly surprised. That's actually really sweet. Ilganax hissed. I am offended. I am the master of lines. I invented the compliment in the year of the bleeding sea. Mortal charm is nothing compared to. I winced as he screamed directly into my eardrum. Tell her you'd sacrifice a goat just to smell her shampoo. What? You heard me. A shampoo, a goat romance. Sam tilted her head. Everything okay? Yeah, just intrusive thoughts. Cool, same. We actually laughed together for a second. Then the lights flickered. And I don't mean a romantic flicker. I mean the power went out, briefly. The music stuttered, the walls hummed. The barista screamed and dropped an entire tray of espresso shots. Ilganax? It was a small surge. You were about to kiss. No, we weren't. I felt it. The energy was building. I merely accelerated the situation. You exploded the jukebox. Sam, to her credit, stayed remarkably chill. Okay, this is officially the weirdest date I've ever had. I can explain, I added. Actually, I can't. But if you'd like a second date with fewer spontaneous power outages and Eldritch sabotage, I would really like to try again. There was a long pause. Sam looked me up and down. Do you always have this much interference? I glanced at my jacket where the microphone was now hissing smoke and leaking what looked like cherry Slurpee. Honestly, it's kind of been the story of my life. Sam grinned. Cool. Text me. And just like that, she left. Possibly intrigued, possibly traumatized, but not repulsed. As the door shut behind her, Ilganax coiled in my ear with smug delight. The flirting ritual was a success. No thanks to you. I disagree. My rock was well received. You gave me a sentient rock, nearly blew up a coffee shop, and suggested I compliment her shampoo with a goat ritual. And yet she smiled. I sighed, leaned back in the booth, and motioned for a drink. God help me, I think you might be onto something. The second date was supposed to be normal. Keyword, supposed. I'd made a plan. Simple. Coffee, bookstore, maybe take a stroll through the park if we both weren't feeling introvert burnout. Minimal tentacles, no microphones. I had accidentally dropped the earpiece into a glass of orange juice the night before, and disabled the mic after catching Ilganax trying to use it as a megaphone to my dreams. He called it emergency coaching. I call screaming the phrase, touch hands with intent at 3:27 a.m. a nightmare. So, date 2. Clean slate, me, Sam, no Eldritch interference. Naturally, he didn't take that well. It started off small. The coffee shop we picked, different from the first one, had changed its name overnight to something unsettlingly esoteric. The Mocha Sigil, their new logo, a burning eye surrounded by cinnamon sticks. The barista wore a t-shirt that said, "Brewed with Madness." When I asked if this was a themed thing, he stared through me and whispered, "The phone sees all." Sam thought it was hilarious. You sure this wasn't your idea? I laughed. She took a sip of her drink. Honestly, I'd still come here. The espresso's weirdly motivating. That's when I noticed it. Her shadow flickering independently from her movements. It waved at me. I waved back before I could stop myself. Sam tilted her head. You okay? Yeah, just, stretching my hand. She nodded, sipping again. So, I've been thinking about that rock you gave me. Oh no. I still have it. It started humming when I put it near my succulent. The plant hasn't died yet, so I'm letting them bond. The rock's alive? It makes little noises at night, like chewing. Okay, yeah, you need to get rid of that rock immediately. No way, it's growing on me. Literally or metaphorically, I didn't ask. The point is, Ilganax was clearly not done helping. Later, while we were browsing the occult section at the bookstore, I picked up a copy of So You Accidentally Married a Demon, a beginner's guide, and turned to joke about it, only to find Samantha reading How to Date When Your Aura Screams Sacrifice Me. We laughed, but something in the air had changed. The lights above us dimmed slightly, the air grew thick, the self-help shelf moaned, and then I heard him. Not in my ear, but in my mind. Ah, so you think you can ignore me? I dropped the book. It hit the floor with a squelch. Books aren't supposed to squelch. I gave you success. I bled charm into your veins, and now you hide me? I muttered under my breath. I just wanted one day without psychic screaming, man. Sam leaned over. Did you say something? I said, this place has heavy themes. She raised an eyebrow, but let it go. She poisons you with logic and coffee. I offer you glory, and you deny me. I shall show you the consequences. I sighed. Please don't make the store bleed. Too late. The fire alarm went off. All the books in the mysticism aisle burst into flame-free fire. Just light and howling. A soft chant echoed from the ceiling tiles. Left swipe, left swipe, left swipe. Wow, you always bring this level of chaos to your dates? Only the good ones, I wheezed out. We stood in the parking lot for a minute, watching the bookstore flicker between dimensions. Sam smiled at me, brushing hair behind her ear like it wasn't raining locusts 5 feet away. So, what's your deal, really? You're like cursed, but in a fun way. Okay, you want the truth? She nodded. My closet contains a cosmic horror from beyond space and time. He decided to become my dating coach. I tried to ditch him. He's jealous, and he can probably hear us right now. He may be inside that weird orb in your purse. I'm really sorry. There was silence. Long and waited. Then she sighed and said, Yeah, I kind of figured. You what? The rock thing? The whispering when I call you? The fact that you sometimes blink sideways? You think I didn't notice? Wait, I blink sideways? Only during emotional moments? I sat down on the curb defeated. So, you're not running away? I mean, I might walk briskly if he starts speaking backwards through the sky, but right now, I kind of like you, even if you come with extra appendages. That's when the sky cracked open like a dropped egg. A single, massive eyeball peered through the gap in the clouds. The trees bowed. Birds flew backwards. A Starbucks cup crumbled to ash. Ilganax descended. Not fully, just a projection. A semi-corporeal blob of tendrils and light, hovering over us like the world's most judgmental jellyfish. Traitor! You chose the mortal over me. This him? Yep. Hi, I love the ambience. You cannot comprehend what you've lost. I gave him lines. I gave him presents. I taught him to stand without apology.
You made him offer a vibrating rock.
It was a token of my esteem.
I'm pretty sure it tried to bite my cactus.
Sam stepped forward, fearless.
Listen, Oozeball, I like him the way he is. Anxious, cursed, and weirdly charming. So if you're gonna try to scare me off, you better bring something stronger than reality distortion and gendered insults.
There was silence. Then from above, Ilganax muttered, I do not understand mortals. I know, that's kind of the problem. He paused, twitched, shrunk slightly. I shall retreat. For now. But know this. I shall watch every moment of your love, and I shall judge your text messages.
Fair.
Then he vanished. Just like that. The clouds zipped closed. The sky returned to blue. The Starbucks cup reformed and resumed its purpose.
So, third date?
I nodded. Let's just stay in and watch something normal, like a serial killer documentary.
Perfect.
And as we walked off, hand in hand, I swore I heard the whisper of ancient despair grumble, Now, you two, don't stay up too late. We didn't talk much on the way back to my apartment. Maybe because the sky had just tried to declare its feelings through a tentacle god, or maybe because it's hard to be casual when your Eldritch ex-wingman promises to haunt your group chats. Either way, silence suited us. Sam held my hand like she was grounding me to this reality, which, frankly, felt increasingly optional. I opened the door to my apartment, and immediately sensed something was wrong. Subtly wrong. The air was weird. My hallway had a slight curve that hadn't been there before, and the ceiling fan was spinning upwards. Sam paused.
Did you redecorate using a meat grinder?
No, but I think someone else did. Chairman Meow sat in the middle of the living room, eyes glowing, tail swishing like a metronome in 5/4 time. He didn't meow. He just stared like he'd been waiting.
Hey, kitty.
Sam knelt. He turned to her, stood up on his hind legs, stood and said in a calm, deliberate voice, The herald has returned. Behind us, the closet creaked open with the sound of 1,000 groans muffled through wet wool. A cold wind that smelled like sadness and wet pennies seeped into the room. Ilganax, we talked about this. Did we? You left me. You chose her.
You were never in the running.
I am your greatest ally. Look how I have helped you. The closet groaned wider. Tentacles flickered just beyond the doorframe, hesitant. Not the all-consuming storm of before. This time it felt like sulking. Even the shadows looked mopey. Sam stood with crossed arms.
Look, Yogurt Nax, or whatever your name is.
It is Ilganax.
Cool. I don't care. You can't just rewrite physics because your favorite mortal got a girlfriend.
I taught him to be bold, to make eye contact without weeping.
You also rewired my microwave to only speak Sumerian.
It is a superior language for reheating. Chairman Meow jumped under the coffee table and extended one paw toward the closet, eyes glowing brighter now.
The veil thins. The deal must be struck or the bindings will unravel. Also, I could use some catnip right now.
Sam gave me a look.
I think your cat just gave us a prophecy of something weird.
I stepped toward the closet. My apartment was actively warping now. Gravity had taken a casual interest in vertical denial, and a small, writhing vortex had opened over the kitchen sink. Ilganax's ego was warping reality faster than an HOA could file a complaint. Enough, I said. I raised my voice. You want to help me date? Fine. Here's what that means. It means boundaries, Ilganax. It means sometimes people say no. It means you don't throw a fit and turn the coffee shop into a sacrificial realm just because I found someone who likes me for my neuroses and in spite of my horizontal blinking. Sam gave me a proud little nod. Chairman Meow burped. From the closet, a long, low sigh, like a balloon of misery slowly deflating over the ruins of an ancient temple. I only wanted to belong. You do belong, but not as a third wheel in my romantic life. Can I, at least, observe? He asked, like a damp kid trying to get invited to a prom cleanup. Sam frowned. Define observe? Well, passive, mostly. Occasional tips. Some whispered omens. I looked to her. She shrugged. Fine, but if you cause one more power outage, I will find a way to summon your mother. She is very disappointed in me. Please, no. The closet door creaked closed. Gravity snapped back. The vortex vanished. The fridge coughed and fell silent. Chairman Meow slowly returned to cat mode and immediately began to lick himself. So, you want to finish that documentary? I nodded, and she curled up beside me, head on my shoulder. From the closet came a faint, respectful whisper. You're welcome. A week passed without incident. No spontaneous time loops, no hauntings from forgotten moons. Ilganax had, more or less, honored the truce. He still muttered through the closet on occasion, usually commentary on our Netflix selections. This one dies, her arc is weak. But he stayed on his side of the door. A few times I caught him projecting passive-aggressive hieroglyphs on the wall, but they were mostly just complaints about Sam's fondness for decaf and yada yada yada. And honestly, things were good. Sam came over most nights. We made tacos, watched murder shows, and ignored the soft, ancient, ambient chanting coming from my sock drawer. Chairman Meow occasionally entered trances in mid-petting session, staring into the void with that glassy look cats get when they see ghosts or remember they were once worshipped. But for the most part, life was stable. Chaotic, cursed, but stable. Still, I knew something was coming. It happened when I was brushing my teeth. Sam was already wrapped in bed, spending the night, wrapped in blankets, softly snoring, occasionally muttering threats to whatever raccoon she was at war with behind her building. The light flickered in the bathroom, not ominously, just enough to say, hey, cue the scene. And behind me, the closet door creaked open. Ilganax, I said through toothpaste foam. You picking a fight or just saying hi? Neither, came the voice, quieter than usual. I came to say goodbye. I turned, blinked, and tried not to spit my toothpaste on the floor. Goodbye? My work here is done. You mean you're leaving? In a manner, I received an offer, a coaching position in the forums of human internet. Reddit? Yes, they have summoned me through incantations of, bro, she ghosted me, WTF. Good grief. I have much to teach them. They are ripe for the Eldritch. I leaned on the sink. So you're just moving on? After everything? The bad advice that turned out to be good, the sabotage that actually ended up helping, and the refrigerator haunting? I taught you to stand, to risk, to wield confidence like a flaming tentacle.
You also made me puke tar on an appetizer?
Well, growth is messy.
I nodded. Fair. And for what it's worth, thanks. The closet pulsed softly like a black hole purring.
You were my favorite mortal, even if you did reject the bond of cosmic brotherhood.
I didn't reject it, I just redefined it with boundaries. He was silent for a long beat.
Yes, that is a thing humans do seem to do.
Another pause.
Take care of the cat. He knows things.
I figured. The closet slowly closed. A final whisper.
Good luck with her. She is strange, but so are you.
And just like that, he was gone. No swirling winds, no screaming. Just a quiet departure that made you think maybe not all monsters were bad at heart. Just very socially maladjusted. I turned out the bathroom light, crawled into bed next to Sam, and curled under the blankets. Everything okay? Yeah. The god in my closet left to go mentor dudes on Reddit. She didn't even open her eyes. Good for him. And we drifted off to sleep to the sound of silence, save for the soft purring of a prophet cat curled at our feet and the faintest whisper from the floor vent.
Tell her her laugh is a song for the stars.
I will, buddy. Eventually. But not tonight. Tonight, we rest.
Hey everybody, Kevin from Nightmares Nightly here. I just wanted to let y'all know I created a Spotify account. So if y'all enjoy listening to audio in the background or just prefer Spotify in general, I'll leave a link to it in the description and comments down below. I'll be slowly uploading the backlog of my videos over there, along with every new story as well. Give me a follow and a rating if you could. And as always, thanks for listening, everybody.